Good afternoon, everybody. I hope everyone is doing great. My name is Danny Bouchard. I'm the founder and CEO of CartoVista. So welcome to this webinar, Creating Inspiring Interactive Maps in the Cloud with CartoVista. I am so excited to be here with you this afternoon. I really feel like a kid that will soon be walking in a huge candy store. I'm really lucky to be surrounded by amazing people in this company. And this is the first time we've made such a progress in our software in the history of our business. So I can't wait to share the details with you all. To join me, I'm delighted to be with Chloe Tomassi, our GIS service manager. So good afternoon, Chloe.
Good afternoon, Danny. How are you?
I'm doing great. Probably as excited as I am, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Very excited to show you the new stuff today, the new platform. Can't wait for the presentation. There's really exciting times ahead.
All right. Can you take a minute to talk about your role at CartoVista? That'd be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm the GIS manager at CartoVista. So I work with our clients and our customers and our users to make sure they are successful with the CartoVista and also work with for the GIS project.
Great. So thank you, Chloe, for the introduction. This is good. Now let's get going and take a quick tour at the agenda for today's webinar. There's lots to cover. We'll go quickly through a context introduction as to why we're building this. Chloe will take us through the presentation for about 30 minutes. We'll talk about what's next in the software development. And more importantly, how you can do it yourself with the platform. It's SaaS. It's exciting. We'll also go through a questions and answer for just about 5 minutes. So throughout the last few years, there's been discussions between the GIS and the business user on our side. We've been having lots of talks, but obviously those two worlds, what we found is they're really spread apart. On one side, you've got the GIS side, which has been created by software engineers in the first place and has, a scientific background to it, remains technical, and is often set up as a service bureau. And it's not necessarily business friendly. On the other side, you've got the business folks, which claim they need integrated maps and data for better decision making. And this is what's happening, as you can see with the guy here on the right. But on the left side, the GIS team is understaffed, they're busy, and they don't necessarily have the time to deal with all those requests coming in. The second issue we feel and we see is that, there's a misunderstanding or a lack of comprehension, I should say. So maps are often hard to understand for the business guy. There's too much noise. It's not clear. So they need, simpler tools. But the GIS people don't really have tools to simplify this, and they can't do that easily. It comes down to data as well. Data is the third problem. Data may not be up to date. May not be what they want. It may be even static data. And sometimes the business people have data at their disposal and they want to use it. Well, they can't really self-serve. So all of those things are things that we considered when we thought about redesigning our software for the cloud, leveraging SaaS. So software as a service is an amazing opportunity to simplify GIS and really make it available for anyone at a lower cost without, like example, desktop software. We believe that one of the things that's the most important is how easy do we make it for users to put in your own data in the software. So there's three main things that we focused on when we redesigned this. The first one is ease of use. We wanted to revisit the UX, making it cleaner, let it breathe, have lots of space, and hide as much as possible the complexity in the software. We also wanted to make it dirt simple for people to drag and drop their data in and bring their data in our experience. Talking about experience is how do you get to know or understand how the software works, is onboarding. That's part of the ease of use, and that's something we wanted to consider as part of this experience. When it comes to authoring, this is also a goal. We wanted people to be able to create content, create their maps online easily with concepts such as what you see is what you get. We wanted them to set up layers that can be reused across the board with different maps. And we also wanted them to define the data interactions and the styles to create a story with their maps easily and create presentations at the end of the day. The third aspect is efficiency. We wanted, of course, faster maps and UI, but that also means faster for a development team, faster to come up with new features, faster to deploy online, with ideally something that is easy for everybody. The cloud is an amazing opportunity as well for us to scale in terms of data and deal with larger data sets. So that's our part of this efficiency objectives. I'm pretty sure this is all nice and clean for everybody in the webinar. So seeing is believing. So let's get Chloe to show us the real show. So maybe Chloe, you can I'll stop my sharing here and you can take over and take us through the software.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Danny, for the introduction. So I'll share my screen right now. So yeah, you should be seeing my screen now. And so this is the new CartoVista platform that Danny has introduced. So I'll start by showing you a little bit of the structure of the platform, the map gallery, the data gallery, and then we'll jump into several map examples. So here's the new map gallery where you can see all the maps that have been published to this portal. So you can, from here, you can easily open a map. You can also get detailed information on each map, such as the layers that are used in this map and also the permissions about this map, so who can view and who can edit this map. You can also easily search for a map. So for instance, I have a tourism map example. So there you go, I can search for it easily. And that's also where we can create a new map, but I'll present that later on in the webinar, of course. And then we also have the data gallery. So sorry, let me just go back to the main data gallery. So here are all the layers that have been uploaded to this portal. And again, what's new is that we see a preview of the data. So I can again, click here to get to see the data, or I can click here to get detailed information such as where is data used and who can also view and edit it.
It looks like attaching styles to each of those data sets is something that's new in this version, right?
Yes, absolutely. So the preview is really based on the default style that is applied to this layer. So from here, I can easily change this default style, change the color, the size, shape, and all. And this will be applied, and this style will be applied every time I use this layer in a new map. So it can be very convenient.
Okay. How do we add data to the platform? I'm assuming you're going to answer that later on, but still.
Yeah, I'll show it later on, but I can answer right now. So it's easy as dragging and dropping the file right here, or browse through your file directory. But yeah, I'll show it later on in the presentation.
Okay, great. Now let's talk about maps. Of course, potentially you can choose a map, but I'm interested for you to explain maybe how it works when it comes to onboard and how people get onboarded when they get to a map.
Absolutely. So let me start with a local government use case. So this is a police arrests map, and you'll see when I'll open this map, I'll get a welcoming message, because we've put a lot of effort into the onboarding of our users so that they can explore the software and then get to understand how it works. So here you'll get through a little tour of the map that will explain you what this map is about and how you can use the tools to go through the map and analyze the data and so on. So I'll close this for now. But yeah, and we also have a resource center here on the corner. So you have here a step-by-step tutorial that will take you through your first map creation, from the basic stuff to the more advanced properties. And that's also where you can get in touch with us if you have any questions. So, by email or even via live chat.
So this is where you can get in touch with Chloe in case there's an issue or you have a question.
Yeah,
there we
I
go.
can
So
answer
this
the
is
questions.
much better than what we had before. So great enhancement. Let's talk about this map. Can you tell us what this map shows?
Yeah, so as I said, it's really a local government use case, very interesting for the police department, for instance. So this map shows all the crime events that happened in the city of Chapel Hill in North Carolina. So we have, for each event, we have information such as the primary charge, the street, so where it happened, the date, so when it happened, who was involved, and so on. So here by color, we are representing the type of arrest, or whether the person was taken into custody or summoned. And we see also the representation of color on the map, of course, with the thematic analysis. And we have this aggregated view, this clustered view of the data, so that we can, to make the analysis a little bit easier. And for each cluster, I can click on it to see, for instance, we have 8 events that took place around this location. So I can click on the cluster here to get the list of those 8 events, and then I can click on one event to get more detailed information. So we basically keep the same interactivity that we've always had.
Okay, it's a typical map, an analytical kind of map that's really made to answer questions, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah, let me put you through the test. Why not?
All
So I have
right.
a few questions for you. So I see there's age in this data. So where did arrests involve young people?
Yeah, a very good example of a question that we might want to answer. So I can easily do that using the data table below. So I could filter to only show the events where the age of the person is less than or equal to 20 years old, for instance. So this will filter the map. So you already have the answer to your question, and you will also see that the chart has been filtered to show the result of the filter.
Simple when the data is already there. Beautiful. How many arrests occurred, let's say, around a specific address, if we want to talk about this?
Okay, so let's take, for instance, the Fordham Boulevard as an example for this question. So what I would need to do to answer that question is to go up here and enter the address, so Fordham Boulevard. So what this will do, it will do 2 things. First, it will search through my layer and it will give me all the results that contain this Fordham Boulevard address. And then it will also get me the location that I can zoom to. So let me zoom into this location. And from here, I can select the events that happen around this location, as easy as that. So you can see the results are highlighted in yellow, and at the bottom also in my data table view, I can see that I have 27 arrests involving young people around this address.
Okay, great. So to go back to the search, this is much easier. The fact that we can search all the layers in the map as well as potential locations. It could be an address, a postal code, whatever. So, all integrated in one component makes it much easier for the end user. So great. Maybe let's talk. I see that there's drugs, I think, information on those arrests. If I ask you, where were the use of drug most prominent?
Yeah. So what we're showing right now, as I said, is the type of arrest, by color, because we are in the type of arrest slide. So we have this new component of the slides in this new version that we'll get to talk about it throughout the presentation. But the thematic analysis are saved in the slide. So what we're showing right now is a view of the map that shows the type of arrest. But I can switch to another slide that I've prepared that shows the use of drugs. So that could be a very good way of answering your question. So from here, we still get this aggregated view. So I can see that in the center of the city, for instance, it seems to have a higher proportion of the use of drugs, which will be on red here. So as I zoom in, you can zoom in to get, see a little bit better what's going on here. And as I zoom in, the cluster get more detail so that I can see really the detailed information. And I could also open the layer control to change the view and actually get to see the individual events. So we can see that we have quite a lot of events in red, so involving drugs around this location.
This is the hot spot. This
It
is
looks like
right there. Yes. Maybe a question. I saw you open a panel and all those things. How do you deal with the layout of the panels?
Yes, absolutely. So I used the left bar to open this panel, the layer control panel. So the left bar is really useful to open and close panels. We can also close them with the close button here. And when they're open, I can easily drag and drop them to move them where I want them to be. And I can also switch the map to full screen right now. And then so the panels become like floating windows above the map, right? And I can also resize them and place them where I want it to be again. So quite a lot of flexibility for the layout.
Yeah, significant change there for sure. Let's switch to another example, maybe this time about geoscience. We can talk about, I think, a company that wants to show or present its expansion plan. And this is where I think we have the concept of story maps, which is also something that is new in terms of support in this platform.
Absolutely. So exactly as you said, the story map element is really new in this version, and it's very useful because then you can use the map as a presentation, as a support for your presentation. So Here, this map explains, an expansion plan of this geoscience company. So the story panel right here allows you to add text and images to your slide, to your map, so that you can explain what this map and what this slide is about specifically. So here it allows for the user to introduce this expansion plan why they're doing this. We also talk about electric power transmission lines, which is actually the data that we are showing on the map. So you can see how the content of the story really relates to what we're showing on the map. And this story panel is attached to the slides again. So much like a PowerPoint presentation, I can switch to the next slide and it will change the content of the map and also the content of the story. So here we're zooming into the area where they're going to buy new wind plants. And so we get the list of the sites that are targeted, the target volume. So a bit more detailed information when we zoom into the specific location. So yeah, that is the story panel and how it can be used.
Nice. How do we set up the story content, Chloe?
Yeah, that's very easy. So the only thing you need to do is to enter the edit mode for this slide. And then it's as simple as, entering new text right here. Then I can change the formatting. I can say add an image, a table, a divider, pretty much anything. And yeah, it's as simple as that.
Yeah, so you don't need to set up a template, or you can just directly do it the way you want it, and that's it. Wow,
Absolutely.
this is much more user-friendly and quite simple. Maybe a question on outputs, and what can you do in terms of map outputs?
Yeah, several options there. So the easiest would be to export the map as a PNG or SVG. So what this will do is that it will take a screenshot of the map and export it as an image. So that's really, really quick and easy. If you want a little bit more options, then you can go to the print template right here, where you can, you have the legend available. You can add, reorganize your print template, add text, change the title, and so on, and you can export this into PDF or PNG.
Okay, quite flexible. Great. Let's talk more about story maps, of course. I'd like you to show maybe an example of a public-facing map. It's a common thing. Let's say tourism. I think you have a tourism example. So let's go through that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good example of a public-facing story map. Yeah. So this tourism map can be used by a municipality to promote their city or their region and show what to do and see in their city. So, for instance, this first slide, it gives you an overview of what to do and see in the city of Chapel Hill. You can also see on the map the different destinations by type. Is it architecture, art museum, sport infrastructure, and so on. And for each destination, we also have an image. And I can click on any of those destinations. I get more additional information, the address, the description. I can get to see the image and so on. So this is more like an overview. And then when we switch to the next slide, we get into more details into each of those categories. So this is about arts and museum, for instance. And the next one I think is about architecture. So, and you can see also how the base map changes. So the base map is also saved in the slide. Yeah, it allows for even more flexibility from one slide to another.
Nice. Okay, great. Let's transition to more business use cases. So I think there must be some webinar attendees that are on the business side. So let's talk about geomarketing, for instance. It's a good keyword.
Yeah, I have a nice geomarketing example. So let's use this one. So yeah, changing the subject a little bit. So let's say we have a franchise based in Alabama. They have already a few stores open there, but they want to expand, and open new potential dealers. So they have, they know a lot about their customers, and they have two different customer profiles that they want to target. The first one being described in this first slide, is people with a higher education who own a house and have a higher income, for instance. So we've combined the census data to really show on the map the hotspots where there's a good match with their customer profile. So if I were to zoom in Montgomery, for instance, we'd see that the eastern part of the city really has a good match with their first customer profile. But they also have a second customer profile of middle-aged men over 50 who also have a quite high income and no children at home. So they would want to combine those two information.
Yeah, I feel like this map is quite busy. Anyway, we can simplify it somehow, so make it easier for business folks to get it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's simplify this a little bit. So let me use again the filter so that I only want to show the the location where there is a high score that matches their profile. So there it is. The map is a little bit easier to read that way.
Oh, for sure.
And so as I said, we wanted to combine those two profiles, right? So let me actually do the same and add the first customer profile to the data table so that I can then filter, and I can combine those to filter to show me the location that matches both profiles. So I get the result on the map right here, and I can also compare with the existing, the existing locations that they already have. So we can see, for instance, that in Huntsville here in the north, there's quite a few locations that match their two profiles and no existing dealers. So that might be a good location for them to expand.
Yeah, it looks like a good place to go. But how do we simulate the reach of a potential store in there, like a trade area? How do you do that?
Yeah, so I could use the isochrone tool to do that. So the isochrone tool allows you to see on the map how far you can go from a given location using a drive time. So what I need to do is simply click on the map to get the starting location, then I can define what drive time I want to see. So I can enter several drive times. So say I want to see how far I can go in 15 and 30 minutes. I add this to the map. And now I can see in light green how far I can go in 15 minutes, and in the darker green how far I can go in 30 minutes. And you can see that from this location, for instance, we can reach the 3 location in 30 minutes. So maybe that would be a good location for them to open up a new store. So they might, we might want to add an annotation to remember that. So let me add a potential dealer, for instance. I can, select this and move it around a little bit. And yeah, that's just to show you that we can also easily add annotations to the map.
Very nice. Something that is important as well is in geomarketing is competitors, considering them and all that. How do you have that information in this case?
Yeah, we have this information. So let me actually open the layer control and show the competitors layer, and I'll remove the isochrone so that we can see a little bit better. So we do have actually a competitor in Huntsville right now.
Okay, so let's go through a scenario here. Let's say this competitor is closed. It's no longer in business. Can we just modify the data?
Yes, absolutely. So modifying the data is really easy. So I just need to go into the details here, and here in the layer property, I can edit the data. So
Provided
you
you
can
have
see,
access to this, I'm assuming, right? You need
absolutely,
permissions to do that.
it's
Okay.
based on permissions. Exactly. You need to have
Okay.
edit permissions for this layer.
Okay.
So here I have the list of the competitors. I can also click on the map directly to edit it, and here I can delete it very easily.
So it's gone. How about if
Yeah.
there's a new one? Let's say I know there's a competitor on the west side over there, and I'd like to add it.
Well, you can simply add it by clicking the Add Data button, so pretty straightforward. And then I can click here to click on the map and define the location, or if you have an address, I can search for a specific
Yeah,
address.
let's try 11206 County Line Road.
All right. We have an address in Madison, so that would be probably it. There it is. So I can enter then the attribute information. So let's say I know the city is Madison, and let's say I know the brand is A-Laser, which is one of the brands that we have here. Let's add it. And there it is. And you can see I have also a notification telling me that this feature has been added.
Nice. Now, can we double check to see if there's a real competitor at that location? Can we use the map to tell if there's a competitor or
Sure.
not?
A couple of options for that. The first one could be, switching to satellite imagery, and zooming in, we'd see that we have, a commercial buildings here. So that could be a possibility. And then we can also use the Google Street View tool. So it's not made available by default, but I can always, for each map, I can go into the settings and choose what tools I want to enable. So let's say I want to add the Google Street View to my toolbar here. Let's close this. Now it's available in the map. So I just need to click on the location I want to inspect. And there I can see it in Google Street View. So we have one commercial building in construction. So that might be the new competitor.
It looks like it. I think so.
Great.
Great. All right. So I guess now that we've seen how you can do all this, I think a lot of the webinar participants will be interested in knowing how do we build a map from scratch. If we bring in our own data, our data is great, but our clients have great data. So, and I think that's where probably there's the most changes. So let's look at how we build or how we bring in new data. I think you have information on Chicago real estate, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I have this Chicago real estate data sets that I can use to show how to create a map. So I have a list of buildings, I have their address, also have a photo, a picture associated to each building. I know the number of tenants, the number of stories, and the total rentable space, and also if there are any available units in the building. So what I need to do is just to create a new map. And whenever I create a new map, I have two choices. I can either upload new layers, which is what I'm going to do, or I can also select from existing layers. And here I have access to the data gallery that we saw there, at the beginning of the presentation. So to upload a new layer, I simply need to drag and drop here my Excel file. So we'll read through my Excel file and I get to decide if I want to import all the data. I do want to import all the data. So let's click next. Then for each column, I can set the properties. So for instance, the total rentable space, I know it's in square feet. So let's add this unit and save it. Now, when I import an Excel file, I get three choices. So I can either geocode it by address, or I can geocode by lat long if I have the lat long information in two separate columns of my dataset, or I can also link it to an existing layer. For this case, let's geocode by address. So here I simply need to build my address based on the columns that contains the address information. So in this case, it's address, city, state, and you can see how I get a preview of what will be geocoded. And let's geocode. I don't want to add another layer for now, so let's close this.
So this
And
is, Chloe, this is calling a web service in this case, I think using here maps, and it is geocoding the 100 or so 200 records that you had in there.
absolutely, yeah. It's calling an external service, and while it's geocoding, we saw in the notification that we get the progress bar of the geocoding process. And now we have received the results. So all of the records have been geocoded successfully, and I have the data on the map with the default layout of the panels and all. Also default interactivity settings. So the map is pretty much ready to be used right now.
And how about if we don't like that orange kind of look and we want to change this somehow, or even configure different data tips or change the settings?
Yeah, the next step would be obviously to customize this a little bit. So I would go into the layer settings right here, and then you can see I have the point style that I can customize. So I can make the points blue, for instance, if we don't like orange, change the size, add a halo around my points. So it's really what you see is what you get. Any changes that you make, see them immediately on the map. So very useful. And then in the advanced settings, I can change the interactivity. So there is like default interactivity when we import a new data set. So by default, we're showing the first 5 fields of the data, but then you can change that obviously. So for instance, city and state don't necessarily want to see because it's always in Chicago, so not very useful. And I want to see the picture first, for instance. And you can see or immediately get the result on the map.
Yeah, this is easy. Just drag and drop things where you want them, and it does it
Absolutely.
right away. So, all right, this is good. I see that in your Excel there was vacancy information. Can you use this data to filter the map?
Yes, absolutely. So again, by default in the data table below, we show the first 5 fields, but I can easily go into the settings to change what I want to see. So for instance, I want to see, all my statistical information and the availability, of course. So now I can use the availability to see only the buildings where there are any available units, and that filters the map, and here we have the results.
Okay, how about sort of like getting a sense of the number of stories in each of those buildings?
Yeah, to do that, I think I'd create a thematic analysis so you can really see the information on the map. So thematic analysis are attached to slides. So there would be you can create one using the top menu here, create a new thematic analysis. So first I get to choose the layer, I only have one layer, so that's easy. Then I can change, I can select the columns. So we wanted to see the number of stories. And then I get to choose a representation, so either by color or by size. Let's select the color ranges for now and add this to the map. So there it is. I have my thematic analysis on the map. I can also customize it as I want to. So for instance, I can change the color palette, and say if I want to focus on, a high story building, so I could change the color of a specific range to really make that, stand out on the map a little more. And once I've done all those changes, I have to save it. So I don't know if you noticed, but when I created a thematic analysis, I immediately entered the edit mode for my slide so that I can save the results of my thematic analysis in the slide. I can also give it a title. So let's say this is availability in high story buildings. And to save it, I just need to click here to see end editing and save.
Wow, that's pretty easy. Now, can we add more contextual data to this map, like potentially additional layers easily?
Yeah, so every time you're working on a map, you can always like add new layers with the add button in the layer control. So what this will do is that I will show you the same window where I can choose to upload or select existing layers. So I have a few contextual information. I think about Chicago here. I have the footprints, the building footprints, the parks, and the block groups with statistical information.
But how about public transit? I know this is a very common use case. People want to know where the bus lines are and all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't have this data set right now, but let me look it up for it, then we'll see what we can find. So public transit in Chicago as a shapefile. So we have the bus routes that are here. Let's see. So I can download a zip file, so a zip shapefile, which I can directly upload to CartoVista, drag and dropping what I've downloaded. So it has been imported. I can, select all the columns, make it simple for now. Let's close this and we'll see the bus routes will be added to the map. There they are. And now I can customize it all, obviously.
And when you mouse over the layer, we see the data.
Wow. Yeah.
That's finding data, integrating data in less than 45 seconds. That's pretty cool. All right. Can you make a second slide that will just show, let's say, the buildings and maybe in downtown, just so we can see how it works?
Yeah, so if we want to do a presentation, we need more than one slide, right? So let's create a new slide again here in the top menu. So the extent is also saved in the slide. So I can zoom into a specific location to save this location in my slide. So let's say the central location. And I can also say I want to remove thematic analysis to make it this a little bit simpler. And I can rename this to central locations, for instance. And I could also, even change the layout a little bit. So I don't need the layer control for this one, just the legend and the data table are enough. And I want to save this. So now I have the two slides that we've created, so I can go from one to another very easily, and you can see the changes.
Wow. This is pretty impressive. You could attach a story as well to this that explains the different options. So with this, you have everything you need to make real estate presentations, Chloe. So
yeah, I think so.
There you go. Why not? So pretty neat. So nice to see that we've got these new UX capabilities that have really simplified the process of bringing in geodata, and story maps again can be so useful in this case. So thanks for the great presentation. So now let's discuss, I guess, what's coming next for us in the development of the platform. So I'll start my screen sharing again, and hopefully we will go back to here. So we will be hard at work in the upcoming months, keep on improving the platform. We will be working on custom symbols, having the ability for you guys to work with your own symbology, as well as creating a beautiful library of symbols to help you design great maps. We're also going to keep enhancing the map sharing, so you can invite your colleagues, you can send results of your maps, and quickly invite even external users. We do have a lot of clients that have been working with geoscience information, namely raster data, geotiff imagery, time series based data. So that works in version 7, not yet in our new platform, but this is something that we will be working on the upcoming months. So expect that all of those capabilities will be added in the platform, including many-to-one data if you have data that is time-based. this is coming as well and will be integrated in the new experience, as well as the tools to help you analyze this data. So it's exciting to have this. And more importantly, obviously, you'll be able to test this online. If you go to our website, you'll see that there's a big blue buttons. You can't miss them. Try for free. If you click on those, you'll have a chance to register, and you'll be able to try all the software, obviously right there with your own data and all that. We also have a book a demo option in there in case you have questions about your projects or you'd love to get in touch with us. By all means, you have access to our calendar to book an appointment with us so we can discuss your requirements. That being said, I want to thank Chloe before we move to the official Q&A section of the speech. I want to thank Chloe for putting together such a great presentation. It was great. We'll be answering questions obviously live on the webinar, but I'm providing my email and Chloe's email in here as well. In case you guys have questions, feel free to reach out to us for sure. So now is the time to start the Q&A process, Chloe. So can you explain what maybe for some of you that are not that familiar with Zoom?
Yes, in Zoom, the Zoom interface, you have a Q&A section, so you can open this and type in your question, and we'll be receiving all the questions, and we'll answer them one at a time. You can type in several questions, of course, and we'll answer them all.
Okay, good. So let me, it looks like we have received a few questions already. So why don't we get the ball rolling? I'll take the third one here. Is there an API for the map creator functionality? So the answer is yes. We have everything we've been doing in the new platform rewrite. There's an API call for pretty much everything. And you can actually use this to create maps and create slides, even all the presentation side you can script using JSON and our REST API. That makes it quite powerful for you to, if you want to automate the map creation, even data, sending data automatically in the platform. That's quite easy to do. All right. Do you want to take the second one, the pricing one, Chloe? And why not?
Okay, yeah. So the question is, how does the pricing work? So we have 4 subscription plans. So each allow for different functionalities. The higher plans allow for all the functionality, the public maps and all. And it's also you pay per user, but the price per user is decreasing the more user you have. So yeah, and all of our pricing is explained on our website as well. So yeah, I don't know if you want to add anything, Danny. But...
Yeah, everything is live on the website. So you go cartovista.com/pricing. It is all explained in there. It's essentially, depending on your subscription, your plan that you pick, you have access to everything. And maybe I'll answer the next question is, what do I get with the trial version of the software? That's a great question, actually. What you get with this is a professional plan for 14 days. So you get to try, plug in your data without much limitation. And you can go and test drive the software, create your stories, and do all of that online easily. So great question from the audience here. I think we have another question regarding default styling. Maybe I can answer that one. So the question is, can the default styling in the new data catalog gallery set graduated color ramps based on given attribute? Or does it use a single style color? For this round, it's just a single style color, but this is something that is of interest, obviously. So this is something that we may do down the road, potentially as a feature add-on. So not today, but maybe in the future. So maybe we'll set up a vote so you guys can vote for this.
And then we also have 2 questions about support. So what level of support do we get, and do I get support? So of course, as I mentioned, there's like the live chat within the application, so you can always use that to ask questions. There's also the email that will get you to our support team, so you have a whole support team to answer your questions. And also the priority of your the support that you get is also based on your subscription.
Okay, very good. We also have a question, Chloe, maybe you can take that one. How much data can be imported?
Yeah, so again, this also depends on your subscription. So it can go up to 40 gigabytes, and you can also purchase additional storage, so if need be. So we also have flexibility on that.
Great. Another really good question, is the platform compatible with mobile device? The answer is yes. We've made an effort, especially in this platform, this rewrite, so that it works beautifully on mobile devices. So the answer is yes, absolutely. There are some things though that have some limitations, in particular, like data editing and everything on mobile device is not the best experience, but pretty much everything else is. So
Great.
maybe a question for you, Chloe. Why not? Where is the data hosted?
So yeah, so data is hosted on the Amazon storage, so that is also in North America, basically. So AWS that's what we're using.
Very nice.
And
Maybe another question. Once a map is created, how is it published so end user can use it?
yeah, we didn't really touch on the the sharing and the permissions and all. We mentioned it very quickly, but basically, whenever you create a map on the platform, by default is made available to any logged in user in the platform. Then you can also, change the permissions so that you get to decide who can see it. And then also, if you have the professional plan, you can make your map public so that you can share the map with the URL to anybody, even if they don't have an account on your platform, on your workspace.
Yeah. Maybe another thing to consider as well is we have roles in the platform. There's
Yeah.
map creator role and just viewing and or map gallery roles. So if you're just a map gallery user, you have no authoring ability, so you can't change the maps. So all of the tools that you see in there, allowing you to play with the layers, add layers, all of that is disabled. You're essentially just viewing the data. So in addition to this, there are the roles that you can set up to make sure that you can share with the right people that have the right to author the map and create the maps versus the people that should just be viewers.
And maybe a question that is related is, can I embed my map on other websites? So related to, map sharing. So as I said, if you have the professional plan, you are able to make map publics, and then with the URL, you can easily embed them in another website using an iframe, for instance. So yes, absolutely, we can embed maps.
Yes. And this is as well something that we will keep improving for sure in the future. Another question, is it possible to limit how much map customization users can do? Again, related to what I said regarding the roles, there is many options for people not to be able to do things. Obviously, they can't edit your themes and all that if they don't have the right to do so in the platform. So there is a lot of things you can do in there to control what the user can do.
Yes. We have another comment that is not a question saying this is great. Well, thank you for the feedback. I always appreciate that. And
Okay, another attendee is asking, I don't have any GIS experience. How easy is it for me to get familiar with the software and visualize my data on a map? Well, I think I can take that one. Chloe has demonstrated with the onboarding that we have. It's a step-by-step process. If you want to bring in your own data, the wizard are going to help you how to do it step by step. So I believe it is fairly user-friendly. Once you have the basics, you can pick it up quickly. It all depends. If your data has no spatial component whatsoever, then I'd say it's maybe a little bit more challenging. But as soon as you have an address, a postal code, anything that relates to a map, and even though you don't have GIS experience, that's the whole reason why we developed this platform in the first place, is to make it accessible to non-GIS users, so anybody can go in, start building a map. And as well, if you are familiar with GIS and you're a GIS user, you're still going to find it powerful enough, and you'll probably get into the more sophisticated use cases. But I think it can fit both use cases quite nicely with what we've built.
great. And then we have another question, which is there a way to connect to existing data rather than dragging and dropping files? So again, I think that would be related to the API question that we had earlier. So using the API, you can definitely, connect to existing data sources and sync it with CartoVista with automated process using the API.
Yes. Exactly. And by the way, as well, we're going to keep enhancing the service and the ability to connect to existing services, whether they are coming from vendors like Esri or potentially as well OGC services. All of that will be coming in later on this year. This is also something we will be working on for sure. So, and again, the ability to connect to external data is something that's important. All right, maybe another question, well, comment, probably have to get in touch with you guys separately about the enterprise plan with great pleasure. So thanks very
Yeah,
much.
I'm putting it in the chat our website and also our email addresses, so you can take a note of them. But yeah, via our email address or website, you can definitely get in touch with us.
Yes, I can see that we have been extremely good with time, respectful of time. We're only 2 minutes late, running over by 2 minutes. We had 45 minutes. So again, unless if we don't have any other questions, it was great question, great feedback from the crowd. I want to thank you, Chloe, and our participants for joining us this afternoon for this webinar. It was great. Keep watching out our webinar page. More content will be coming on story maps, all sorts of design tips and tricks. We feel like we only touched the surface here. So until next time, I have to say thank you again, Chloe. Maybe you want to say a few things.
Yeah, thank you very much to all of our participants. I hope you enjoy the webinar. I know we enjoyed preparing it and also presenting it today. So yeah, I guess we'll see you around via the live chat, the support, the email, the website, whatever.
All right. Beautiful. So until next time, have a wonderful day, folks, and I look forward to discussing with you.
Great. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.